It.
Welcome back to the Joseph Graham Show. Super excited today. I have Dr. Ruby Patterson back. Last time she was here, we talked about space, we talked about mining on the moon, we talked about science, we talked about a lot of other things. But there's been a lot of stuff that's changed. We were talking right before the show. You actually have your own business now. You decided to, part ways with the mining thing, which is fine, but you're helping consult people. I see you have a new podcast. And I'll say it wrong because I have this little dyslexia thing that pops in my head. So I'll let you tell people about that. And then we were talking about like I just did a half marathon for fun because I'm crazy and took an hour off my time. Um, but today I just wanted to kind of catch up, talk some space, talk some business, talk some life, because again, it's all about waking up to a life you love living. There's no rules to it. What is it that makes you happy? So, Dr. Ruby Patterson, thank you for coming back on, and you can start wherever you want.
Oh my gosh, Joe, it is an honor to be back. Thank you so much. I love talking to you. You make me feel really cool. So thanks for being interested in all the stuff that I'm also interested in. Yeah, since we last spoke, my life is radically different, actually. So I parted ways with the company that I was working with before. I was previously chief science officer of a space mining startup company. And I left because I recognized that there was so much opportunity for my skill set to be useful to tons of different types of businesses, and not just one in-house role could really encapsulate the variety and expertise that I can offer the space industry. And what I'm finding out now that I've been putting myself out there a little bit is that my expertise is also relevant to companies that I never really expected it to be relevant to. So, for example, I have companies that are now my clients. So I started a consulting firm and it's called Crisium Group. And we're working on the website. This was like probably one of the weirdest, most serendipitous things ever because I thought that I would really, really struggle getting business. And I was like really, thinking that would be my big problem. And when I left, I activated my network and I said, hey guys, I'm doing my own thing now. And I got so much work that I haven't even had time to make business cards or finish my website. So I'm really lucky in that way, but it's a little disorienting now because I'm having to do all this foundational stuff while I'm doing more of the fun, like sprinkles and cherry on top type of work that I really enjoy. So the drudgery is hard to train myself to get back to. But my company, Crisium Group, is named Crisium because Crisium means crisis in Latin. It actually means crises, like multiple crises happening at the same time. And so my intention with calling my business Crisium Group is that not only will this be a team effort and is a team effort amongst me and several experts that I employ to help me carry out this work that I love doing, but we're the crisis fixers. So one of my clients is a robotics company that really needs to raise capital. And so because I had all this time working in a startup company and helping pitch that company and raising investment money, they're like, hey, will you please do what you did there, but for us? And so I'm now able to step in. And even though I have no formal training in a university with raising capital or going through entrepreneurship programs, I learned that on the streets. Like I got my
Yep, yep.
MBA in the real world. So I'm employing my skills that way, and that's been tremendously rewarding. But also, there's still so many space mining companies and space mining service companies that are popping out that do not have in-house expertise. Like I'm a space geologist. There is a lot of space geologists that I know, but even when you think of the total global population of people who do what I do, there's not that many of us. So I am constantly reminded that the stuff that I do is necessary and timely, and it's really cool to approach a company that's working on LIBS instruments. So LIBS stands for laser induction breakdown spectroscopy, which means you basically can like shoot a laser gun at a rock or a
Mhm.
substance and tell what's in it. And that becomes really important when we look at trying to not only mine the moon, but scout places to build or understand a geochemical and geological history of the lunar surface. And so there's like LIBS companies that I'm now working with that are trying to test and do analog testing on Earth, and I'm able to help them figure out how to do that most accurately and most efficiently. So Crisium Group is off and running. Oh, I forgot to tell you, the coolest part about the name Crisium is actually, okay, I don't remember if I spoke about this last time on your show, but on the moon, like if you close your eyes and you imagine the moon in your mind, there's these
Mhm.
dark spots and there's these light spots. And the light spots are called, this terrain is called the highlands terrain. And it's this
Mhm.
really old, like almost primordial type of age of crust on the moon. And it's believed to be kind of like the original crust that was created. And then those dark spots are actually basically vast lava lakes. They're flood basalts, kind of like what you would find in Hawaii, where you recently
Mhm.
returned from your family vacation. There's massive regional scale flood basalts all over the moon. And one of these massive flood basalts is called Mare Crisium, which means the Sea of Crises. And
Mhm.
there's other Mare basalts on the moon that are really famous, like the Sea of Tranquility, where we sent a lot of astronauts to in the 70s. So Mare Crisium is kind of like the redheaded stepchild that didn't get a lot of press and has a really crappy name. The name is not so great, but it's kind of having its heyday right now because Mare Crisium is believed to house billions and billions. I'm talking like tens of billions of dollars worth of helium-3 deposits. And China has been there investigating and snooping around. There's an
Mhm.
American commercial space company called Interloon that has plans to go and snoop around as well. So the space race is off and running, and people are really investigating this area. So I thought, okay, Mare Crisium, Crisium Group, this is just too perfect. And so that's why I scooped that name.
I love it. You dropped a bunch of stuff there that you might people might not have caught, so I want to rewind a little bit. First, you were working as a chief science officer and you decide, hey, I'm just gonna go and do my own thing because this is not congruent for what I'm wanting to do. You didn't have a website, you didn't have anything planned the right way, but you had built up enough of a brand online that when you said, hey, I can help, people reached out. That's the first point that I love. Second, I had a person tell me this once, and I looked into human design, which I know is a little bit more woo than science, so I'm gonna throw that out there. But I did, and this part made sense. She's like, you have the ability to take chaos and put it into order. So when you said I use crises or multiple crises and fix it, all I heard in my head with you saying is that Dr. Ruby take all these multiple crises and puts order to it. And then also your gift is making room for you. What people don't realize is because it's so normal to you, it's exceptional to other people. Let's talk about raising funds. I'm in the sales world. Getting money, people to invest into your company is hard. It's not easy. I know we watch Shark Tank and all that crap. It's not that easy. Like that's a TV show. Like there's a huge skill set. If you wanted to just do that, you could literally make millions because you have the understanding of it and just do that. I know that's not your heart. You don't want to just raise money for stuff because you have to believe in it. But I just wanted to point that out. You just mentioned three things that most people don't have the capacity yet or the brand built to do it. And then you take on top of it, put your knowledge and wisdom into space. And this is really the next frontier. If anyone's looking at, we used to do like, yeah, the people that would explore the world. Well, now we're at the very beginning of the space exploration, really. It's been since the 60s. That's not that long, or 50s. I might be wrong on my dates. That's not that big of a time frame. So you positioned yourself well, which I love. The other thing is that you did the other thing that most people don't think to do. You said, "Hey, who can I help?" And people raise their hands because if you don't tell them what you can do and how you can help them, you they don't know how to ask. So I commend you on that because a lot of people are afraid to do that. The last thing I want to say, and then we're going to just talk a little bit deeper, but I was just listening to all the parts and pieces and I just put them together in my head was, and this is my first question. Did you just decide that you wanted to start a business or you didn't know, so you just put your feelers out? Because that's a big risk-taking move that a lot of people don't have because they want to have, especially when I say this, don't take this wrong. A lot of people that are really super smart, which you definitely fall into that category, normally don't have the same risk tolerance as people that maybe aren't as educated but have a higher risk tolerance. So I'm quite sure you were more calculated with this. But what made you decide, hey, you know what? This is cool, but I want to expand and start my own thing.
Well, I went through a lot of really big personal changes last year. So I'll get personal for just a minute. I went through a divorce, and that was one of the most heart-wrenching, heartbreaking, terrifying, but also liberating, beautiful acts of self-love that I've ever performed. And
Mhm.
I think going through that and not knowing what's on the other side of that really raised my level for risk tolerance.
Hmm.
When I left my marriage, I didn't know what was next for me. I didn't have a stable, reliable income at the time. I didn't know what life looked like as a single person. My ex-husband and I were together for almost 8 years, so it was
Hmm.
this really big lesson of figuring out who is Ruby, what do I want? And I did a lot of healing. I think part of like my shadow self to kind of go
Hmm.
back into that woo arena a little bit. I had to get really in touch last year with what I want out of my life and who I am and what I stand for and what my mission is and what I came to this earth to do. And I think that gave me a lot of lift when it came time to leave my previous role because I said, damn, I went through all of that by
Hmm.
myself in California, living out in the middle of nowhere with no certainty at all. And I made it through. And not only did I make it through, I did it all the while finishing my doctoral program and drumming up, consulting and gig work on the side. And like that was the hardest thing I've ever done. So this could never be as hard as that because I was doing all of that plus having heartbreak on top of it. And
Hmm.
so I realized last year I got that dog in me. I got a beast
You
inside
do.
of me who is
You
like
do.
hungry and ready to rock. And so definitely like don't get me wrong, there's still fears that arise from having my own thing. Like it's incredibly vulnerable to put myself out there. Like I still haven't updated my LinkedIn. And a part of me thinks that maybe I haven't updated my LinkedIn because I'm like, okay, this would be the official unveiling and now everybody's gonna know that it's Ruby running her own show. But I think it's time for the world to
Hmm.
know that Ruby is running her own show. So
Yeah.
I think in the next week I'll be dropping my website. I was working on it yesterday. And it's just going to be a lot of fun. I'm
Yeah.
really excited about it. But I also thank you for bringing up and your very complimentary discourse about how, I have these skills that kind of seem really normal to me that are kind of impressive to other people that haven't tried it
Hmm.
yet. And I have kind of a hot take about the way that the woo world and the investment world or the startup world are kind of mixed. So before I ever worked at a startup, I really thought that the people who control the purse strings would be looking at me with a magnifying glass. Like, what type of papers did Ruby publish? Can we trust her? Is she smart enough to do what she's saying she's going to do? Like, I thought they would be going through all of my publications and looking at my CV and grilling me about facts of the moon and all of these things. And that could not be further from the truth. My hot take is that I think people that control venture funds are actually a different brand of woo girls. Like we always know like
Yep.
the crystal woo girls who are like the vibe of them was weird.
Hmm.
Investors are the same way. Whenever I meet investors who control literally billions of dollars worth of funding, like they could just write a check and your life would change forever. They didn't want to know anything about my schooling or anything about my publications. I would sit down with them and they would say, "Tell me about your family. Tell me what
Yep.
you like to do on the weekends. Tell me what lights you up." And they really were more interested in the quality of me as a human being and the content of my character. And I think they were assessing me more for grit and how do I problem solve more than what grades did I make in grad school.
Yeah. Rewind this part. She just gave you a secret. It's why I deal with CEOs and CEOs of billion-dollar companies and they buy from me. Because if they're talking to you already, they know you have qualifications. But just because you have qualifications doesn't mean you're going to go through and follow through with them. What you did was show them the true you and that you would go through and follow through with it. And so they went off of their gut in the sense of, can I bet my money on Ruby? Because these are super risk takers. Because they have to put their money somewhere, or it just goes to the government or something else. So they don't want to do that, but they don't want to just throw their money away anyway. So they actually read people more than because anyone can get a good degree to a thing. There's a lot of hard work. Don't I'm not diminishing that, but how they respond because we've all met the person that has a super degree, but they have no ability to relate, connect, or do anything in the world besides their degree in whatever. It's a different thing. But there's people like you that have the ability to take a concept, change it, get them to believe in your concept so that they will give you money and funding. That that right there just like popped out at me big because of the fact that I think we and tell me your thoughts on this because here's where my mind goes. I think that we get so caught up in what other people think about us, but we forget that they're not 99% of the time thinking about us. They're thinking about how did Ruby make me feel? How would Joe handle this? What is it that's going to be there? And they're still seeing through their lens of what they need. And if you can make them feel safe, seen, heard, and you give them a plan that makes sense, you win. That's how I've won in sales for years. I don't use any tactics. Like my tactics are I'm going to listen to you, refer back to what you're saying, reflect back, and then does this make sense? And if it doesn't, cool. What are your thoughts on that? That's what I'm hearing you say, but maybe you have a different take.
Yeah, I think, well, I'm a really big believer in the power of the divine masculine and the divine feminine. And so I think in some instances, the way that you approach sales may be different from the way that I approach sales. And I'm not
Hmm.
saying that I'm in there in like flouncy skirts and low-cut tops. That's not what I'm saying at all. But what I am saying is that there's something to be said for walking into a room where I'm the only woman in the room. Often that is the case in my
Hmm.
reality. And I'm dealing with men who are very used to dealing with men. And so it's a really, really huge strength that I have as the only woman in the room to be like, hey, how was your weekend last weekend? Oh my God, it was your kid's birthday. Tell me about your kid. And that emotional intelligence and being able to relate to them on a person to person level is really a
Hmm.
strength that I think women naturally inhabit. And it's actually basically your superpower in these environments. I definitely am the person who's after a meeting taking notes and saying, okay, Joe said that his daughter was in fourth grade and blah, blah, blah. And so even if I check back in with them 6 months down the road, I'm going to look at my notes and I'm going to say, hey, how did your daughter's play go? Or how was her
Hmm.
soccer game? I remember you guys were really excited about that. And that goes miles and miles. And it really is about your relationships with them and their ability to have trust in you as another human being rather than the qualifications on paper because you're so right. Anyone can get, not anyone, but many people can get a college degree and even less amount of people can go through school and get a PhD because it's hard to stick around in that special pool of misery we call grad school. It's not easy. I was
Yep.
just talking to someone about that today. Like I had beanie weenies every single day for like 5 years in a row. Like it was
Hmm.
just not cool. But to be able to come out of that on the other side with people skills is just above and beyond the call of duty. And I think now too, in the age of AI, replacing entire workforces, it becomes even more important to develop social skills and people
Hmm.
skills and emotional intelligence because that is where the real magic happens.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I want to dig in a little bit more because you said something that people listening to the show might not have thought that you even went that way, which is I love. Divine masculine, divine feminine, and how that flows. Because a lot of people put everyone into their little box. If they think science, they don't think that they do anything outside of it. And I know that your world is way bigger than that. I think that men and female both can flow in both, but there's a certain thing. Like I used to train girls for sales or women for sales, and it's just the fact. If I'm cold calling, I got 4 seconds as a guy to get that guy to listen to me. If it's a lady, she gets 15 seconds. Why? Because this is just human nature, 100%. Pretty voice, it's a lady calling them. Some of these guys don't interact with ladies, like you said. Women use it as a superpower. Not like it's not a bad thing. If in sales and business, if you get an edge for any reason that's going to help you get to share your message, it's cool. I'm not saying manipulate people. This is not the show for manipulation. I am anti manipulating people. But if they're going to listen to you for whatever reason, use that. Um, but that's interesting to me because I think so many times people think to break in, you have to be not authentic or you have to be like the boys. You don't have to. You have to be like you. I think authenticity 100% is the biggest way. Now, if you're a female and masculine, great. If you're a male and feminine, great. I don't care. Be 100% authentic with me because that's what I'm looking for. That's my thoughts. That's what I'm hearing you say, but I always like to reflect it back to make sure I'm understanding what you're saying.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if you have a different background than everyone in the room, that is what you should be highlighting. I mean, this has been scientifically proven by many like organizational psychologists, and they look at how teams where everyone has a very similar background and they're at similar stages of their career and they may all be the same gender and have similar religious backgrounds. So those types of groups actually underperform and they
Hmm.
take longer to solve problems, and the problems are not as creatively solved versus a group that they're compared to, which is comprised of different genders, different career seniority levels, different nationalities. Like you want to be the different person in the room because you bring that breath of fresh air and it's not actually an echo chamber. So going into a room, like I'm going to speak to all of your lady listeners out there. If you're in a male dominated field, like that is your superpower. You need to be owning that and showing up. And it's okay to bring a little bit of masculine energy into a boardroom. That's okay. But recognize that you're doing so as a person who is naturally embodying the divine feminine. And so you're already a special cinnamon swirl of qualities that no one else in the room can bring authentically. No one. And so
Hmm.
that should be a huge comfort to you when you go into those situations. It certainly is for me.
Yeah. No, and I love that. I think so many times because I you've known me long enough to understand. I normally, if there's a rule, I break it because I don't like boxes or rules. I have a good habit. I used to call it a bad habit. I have a good habit of trying to find people that I don't agree with, but I don't go and argue with them. I go and listen to them, and I'm like, hey, cool. This is what I think. You think this way. I just want to know why. And I think if people do that more, that makes it better. Not like, and I'm careful with my words here because I'm not like saying, hey, let's go debate and argue and I'm going to try and prove this person right or wrong. No, everyone sees through their lens. And that's what I think most people forget. We always see through how we were brought up. So I'll use myself. I was brought up in the Midwest, a country boy, wrong side of tracks. We were poor, didn't have no money, none of that stuff. And I've changed my life to be able to have a really great life that I love living. But there's other people that have gone through stuff differently than me. It doesn't mean one's better than the other. It just means their lens, their experience is different. And I loved what you said with that there because I'm thinking back, the best teams I've been on have had people from different cultures, different religions, different thought process, different political thought processes. Why? Because you need both. So I love that aspect of it. How do you deal when because you deal with atypical people in the room that you deal with. How do you deal with the atypical asshole that doesn't see that and just wants to have it their way? Do you have any like thoughts or ideas on that? I know I'm going way off of what we normally talk about, but my show's always weird like this. So,
No, weird is good. How do I deal with people that are just kind of a-hole D-bag guys?
well, a D-bag guys that don't want to listen, like they're the typical alpha. This is my business, my thing. You're going to do what I want. Do you just tell them to fuck off? Because I've done that before. Or do you just if you have to work with them. So you can't use option A if you have to work with them. How can you give my listeners an ability to work with them? Because you deal with these people too. I deal with them all the time.
Yeah, I try to approach people like that through the frame of like hurt people. And I try to approach it from that emotional level. Like, okay, this man is clearly going through something and he just, is not happy in his life. And I kind of brainwash myself to have pity on him. I don't know.
Hmm.
That's
I
kind
get
of
it.
that's one tactic that I use. If it is an egregious jerk, I will say something and I'll say, hey, it's not
Hmm.
cool. You cannot treat me that way. That is
Yep.
really unprofessional. That's been very, very rare. I mostly encounter people that are sexist and I
Hmm.
just let my work speak for itself. And I take a lot of satisfaction from turning in work or turning in deliverables or coming into a boardroom and they don't know that I'm the one that's leading the meeting or they don't know that I'm the one that's actually in charge of this project or they don't know that I'm actually Dr. Patterson because people sometimes still in the year of our Lord 2025, Joe, still think that Dr. So and so is probably going to be a man. So there is a part of me that secretly likes that because I'm like,
Hmm.
I'm not going to throw up the middle fingers on video, but a part of me spiritually is like,
Oh, you
there you
can.
go. Yeah,
It's
like
my
F
show.
you.
You can. I don't care. Feel free. You can. I've flipped off the camera before. It does not hurt my feelings none. I put explicit on here just that way. If someone I've dropped an F-bomb already. That way it doesn't go to kids or stuff that aren't allowed to see that online. I don't want to cause any issues, but you're good there. No, I think the problem or the funny thing is people don't even look at the stats. Actually, more females go to college now than males. Like if you look at the stat, there's a
Yeah.
lot more um which I love. Like, I mean, I want anyone to do what works for them. Opportunity for people to do, but there's still the old glass ceiling crap that has to still be pushed through because there's still that old guard. I mean, it's getting older, it's eventually going to be going away. But I think I think people should just look at what are your abilities? What can you accomplish? What are your capabilities? And go from there. Besides that, I don't care. That's just my theory in life. And I think so. We won't go too far down this road because I could go off on a tangent. I don't feel like going off on a tangent with it. But with dealing with people, with raising capital, with starting your business, and I know you just recently did, but what have you learned so far? Is it more easy than you thought it would be? And what is harder? Because everyone thinks, oh, I'm going to be the boss and it's just going to be easy and I get money rolling in. We know that's not the case, but what's easier for you than you thought it would be? And what is maybe harder than you thought it would be?
Things that are harder than I thought would be staying organized on top of like organizing my personal life and paying bills on time and going to the DMV and taking care of all of those, little tasks that we hate to do. That in and of itself is challenging, but now I'm having to do that for my personal life and a business. And I try to put everything on auto pay and do all these things,
Hmm.
but every now and then things still slip through the cracks. And so I'm considering hiring a virtual assistant now to help with a lot of this and just relieve the mental load. So thankfully, we live in a time where you can outsource and delegate almost all of these types of tasks. But I
Hmm.
just haven't been able to get to that point yet. Like there's this element of trust, like trusting someone else with something that is really, really dear to my heart and reflects on
Yep.
my personal career. So I think relinquishing a little bit of my, like ironclad grip on this is going to be pretty challenging for me, at least in the beginning. And then once I release, I'm going to be like, wow, why didn't I do this a year ago? Like, why didn't I do this a month ago or whatever? But something that's been easier than I thought it would be is actually convincing people to work with me. I am very
Hmm.
lucky in that way. I think people are magnetized to the energy that I bring to the function and they see the work that I've done and I'm really easy to work with. I'm really fun to work with. And I think that goes a long way.
Yeah. Well, and I'm going to caveat that because I don't think it's luck. I think you work your ass off. I think you built your brand, and I think you present yourself as someone that knows what they're doing. Because a lot of times people say this person got lucky. Ruby, you didn't, Dr. Ruby, you did not get lucky. You've built
Thank
what you are, where you're at this point. I'm very big on words. My friend Brian Bogart has this too. So I'm not trying to be mean there. Don't take that wrong. It was not luck. Like, I didn't get to where I was at because of luck. I got to where I was at because of busting my butt, doing what I'm doing, helping people and building, people to the ability to trust. So I love what you said there, but I was excited because I didn't know you had started your own business because we hadn't talked about that before. Like, we're on social media, but it's not like we talk every week. I mean, I might comment on your thing or make a joke, or you might comment on some of mine, but it's not like we're talking all the time. But I love this about you. Like, I thought you were great when my friend Chad connected me because I'm a space nerd, and all of a sudden it's like I get to see you go from working for someone and doing stuff with NASA, which is badass, to doing your own thing and growing and building. And I love it. I think that to me makes me happier than almost anything else because you could next week tell me, and I know this is not going to happen, so I'm going to make something stupid up. You could next week tell me you're going to become a spiritualist coach. I don't ever think you'll do that. If you do, I'll support you. I don't care. And I would still support you, but I just love the fact that you're willing to take risks because most people aren't. You're betting on yourself. This is a thing that people need to understand. If you're in sales, if you're in business, if whatever you're doing, bet on yourself. You have one life to live. Like, life is precious, life is short. You have only the trip here that we know of. We can't guarantee anything else. So I just commend you for that. That's what I'm is popping back out at me. So I didn't know we were going to go this way with it. I do want to shift because you do have this really weird kind of, it makes me laugh when I'm having a moment or grumpy. You have a new podcast thing that you're doing on the side too. So she didn't just only start her own business, she started a podcast and she just does all this other stuff. So tell us a little bit about that because that's kind of a pick me up during my day and makes me laugh. And it's very good too. There's like a lot of actual really good information, but the way you present it, sometimes I'm like, what the?
you. Yeah. Yeah, so thanks for bringing it up. The name of my show is called Hotter, Weirder, Smarter, and it's all about science and tech that makes you hotter, weirder, or smarter. That's it. And it's those three descriptor words, but that encapsulates almost all of science and tech. And so it's this fun kind of quippy way to get people interested in the show, but we're really not limited to a certain sector of science or a certain sector of tech. And this has been one of the most creatively satisfying things I've ever done. I'm making it with my two best friends, Eileen and Liz. They are the backbone of the entire show. All I do is book the guests and dress up in a red dress and opera gloves and like interview people, and they do everything else. It's so much fun. But something that I'm really enjoying is dropping in with founders that are
Mhm.
doing game-changing things. And we're gonna release our first episode. So here's okay. I'll tell you the like the behind the scenes thing. I'm planning on moving to San Francisco in a couple of weeks. My two girls, they're gonna move and do their own thing as well. And so we decided, okay, since we have this time together, let's do a sprint. Let's record a ton of episodes and just kind of keep them in the hopper. And then we'll titrate them out or like kind of drip them out one by one over a succession of like 10 or 12 weeks. So our season one is almost completely done being recorded and edited. And it's a pretty high production value. I got very lucky that my friend Eileen is actually a video editor and a film person
Mhm.
in LA and Hollywood. So she has these 4K cameras that have the fancy monitors on them. Like when we were conceptualizing this show, she goes, "Oh, yeah, I can help with filming and editing." And coming from my background, like if I was doing this on my own, it would be a cell phone on a tripod, like that's how I would do it. So
Yep.
I show
Yep.
up on the first day of filming and I see like all these T squares on the ground with this giant camera with three giant cameras. And it's like there's the Ruby shot, and then there's the guest
Mhm.
shot, and then there's the front shot. And it's in 4K. So like I have to now wear like setting powder so you don't see all my pores. Like it's at that level. And I wasn't ready mentally when
Yep.
I walked in on the first day. So it was a beautiful
Mhm.
surprise. And I'm so excited to start dripping these episodes out because you'll get to see the progression of me as a host as well. So, our first episode, like, we didn't know what we were doing. I think I was wearing like sweats and a hoodie. And then throughout the course of just this one episode, I'm now recording in this like really nice, like red gown and opera gloves. And I have this kind of melodic way I interview people, but that's completely absent from the front, from the beginning of the season. So we're going to put out a bit of a preamble as a podcast, and we're going to say, look, we started this not knowing where this was going, and we've had this huge artistic evolution over the course of 10 to 12 episodes, and you guys are going to witness everything. Like our first episodes are not like I'm going to say it like they're not like the best quality that we've made because it was just ultimate beginner's mind. And then the most recent episodes we've recorded are really, really good. I'm really
Yep.
proud of them. And so I'm excited to share that journey with the world. But again, it's incredibly vulnerable to put out work that you know that you are when you're at a different level now, and I'm still putting out this work where I was a beginner. So I'm trying to mentally reconcile that, but
And
I think
leave it.
it's
Leave it
important to
there.
honor the
Yep.
process. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Yep. No, I did with mine. If you go back and look at my first 10 episodes, remember I tell you I don't script anything? My first
Yeah.
10 episodes, I had 5 questions asked the same, everyone. And it was horrible. I just decided to do a podcast on a whim. And it's just, I tell you the production of it, like I have a nice camera now. It's a lot better than what it was. When I started out, I had an HP computer, no Logitech camera, no nothing. I had the camera on the computer. We know cameras on the computer themselves suck. They're horrible. I was interviewing multimillionaires with a not a nicer headset, like a gamer headset and a HP computer camera that was fuzzy and I looked like an alien. I still have it up on purpose because I've dropped over 250 episodes now. I love the progression because what it does is it shows people the path. It doesn't just show the perfect Dr. Ruby Patterson here. It's like in the beginning, I'm doing this and I'm in sweats and I'm doing this thing. And then it evolves to me being in a gown and on. Who knows? Later on, maybe you'll be swinging through there. I don't know what you'll be doing. It's cool. Like whatever you want to do. I do have a vivid imagination, so I throw crazy stuff out sometimes. But no, I love that. And I love the documentation because I think our job as leaders and thought leaders, because that's what you are in this realm, is to show people the way, not just tell them about it, but show them the way. And this is going to show them the way. And you said another thing that people don't catch all the time. You have to be willing to be vulnerable. So I commend you for that because most people don't want to be vulnerable. They think they have to be perfect, but no one likes perfect. You don't watch the perfect people with the perfect teeth, with the perfect hair, say the perfect thing. You might watch one episode, but if they're going to watch your show and it starts out you're just in sweatpants and just chit chat and talking, and all of a sudden you're in an evening gown and you're doing stuff. And I've seen some of the reels of it, or it's like the promo reels, I guess. And I'm intrigued. And believe me, I have so many people want me to watch their podcast. I'm excited about watching yours. Like I brought it up. And there's a lot of people that send me their podcast. I'm like, I listened to 3 minutes. I'm like, that was a great thing. Keep going. Let me know when you get to episode 20. We'll talk again. But
Yeah,
no,
I
I
mean,
love that.
you
Yeah.
may have that feeling when you listen to our episodes, and
Oh, no,
I
no, no,
hope
no,
that
no,
you
no,
come
no. I
back.
know you well enough. No, there's a difference. Again, you remember they were talking about the founders and reading people and all. I'm really good at reading people. You would not have been on my show a second time if you weren't good. That's easy. So you're good on that side. You'll be good on this side. Actually, this side is easier than the side you're on from my point of view. And I just dropped a episode with a buddy of mine that has a point 0.5 podcast. I was on his show talking about sales and life and stuff. But I don't know. For me, I like getting to ask the questions and kind of pulling things out that people don't expect on the show. Like that's just kind of where mine is. And with it being, if you said hotter, weirder, and what was the other one?
Hotter, weirder, smarter. And I'm trying to
Smarter.
convince the girls to record a jingle with me. And I'll say the jingle on your show because I'm really trying to make this happen and get a buy-in. Oh, if you guys like this jingle, comment on this episode, please, and let me know if it's trash or it's cool. Okay, we want your feedback and don't hold back. Like we can handle it, I promise. So the jingle that I want it to be is hotter, weirder, smarter. Hotter, hotter, weirder, smarter, smarter.
I love it. I think it's good. But I then again do have the sense of humor of a 12-year-old boy. So I don't know
Same.
about other
Same.
people, but I that was great for me.
Thanks.
But if
I
you
want
do that, that has to be your intro. Like for me, in my mind, that would be a cool intro for when it pops up, and then you girls could be doing whatever you want in the background, however you want to be creative. I'm not going to tell you and Irene how to be creative. You're way more creative than I am. Um, but like I could just see you like doing whatever and having that be the intro. That's going to catch people because you have to have the hook. You have to have a reason for people to listen because they're not just going to be like, oh, hotter, weirder, smarter. What is that? But that right there might be your hook. And then if you become a 0.01% podcast, you heard it first here on the Joseph Graham Show.
yeah,
Always
we
going to
would.
throw that plug in.
Yes, I mean there because our the niche of our podcast is so broad, or it can be so broad. Our final episode that we're recording for season one is actually a really, really cool influencer. Her name is Courtney Johnson, and she's this marketing guru, and she's going to come on and tell everyone basically the psychology, like the scientific psychology of how to break through that feeling of being afraid to be cringe online. And something that she's so good at conveying is actually how the vulnerability piece, like you just have to go through that. That is the price of admission, is looking dumb when you first start. No one gets to skip that part. No one. It doesn't matter who you are, how much money you have. You have to start out at the ground level and climb cringe mountain. And everyone's like, ooh, why is she wearing opera gloves? Why is she making these weird faces? Why is she recording all these weird reels with her friends? Huh, that's funny. They haven't put out an episode yet. What's going on at Hotter, Weirder, Smarter? And then all of a sudden, we'll hit a critical mass and people will be like, oh, I get it now. That show's actually really fun and it's silly and it's not meant to be so serious. It's not like we talk about technical things, but it's meant to be an approachable way to talk to founders and people that work in insane tech that will like blow your mind. Anyway, Cringe Mountain is a big deal for my personal life, and I'm excited for our final episode of season one to include someone who is an expert at mountaineering Cringe Mountain. So I hope your listeners cross over and join us on my show too.
Definitely. And when it releases, I'll drop in the show notes so they can just click and
Thanks.
link because I love that. Like, I think I got my cringe mountain when I was in 11th or not 11th grade. Wow. When I was in 8th grade, I sang the Phantom of the Opera to the middle school. I was doing the high note. And, 7th, 8th grade, I can't remember which year it was. As a man, you're going through puberty at the time, and my voice cracked at the top note in front of the entire, and it was like 400 or 500 students. But after that, I was like, well, I can't get any worse than this. So then I just didn't care anymore. I could have just cringed and ran away, but since then it's been like, okay, I don't think I can do anything more embarrassing than having that happen. So, but Look at Mr. Beast, because I'm thinking about this. My daughter was watching a show. He did like some big giveaway, like, I don't know, 10 episodes or something. If you watch his first videos, they were trash. If you watch Gary Vee's first videos, they were trash. If you watch anyone's first videos, they're in trash and not trash in the sense of trash compared to what they're capable of. But you have to go through that progression. But that goes back to science and testing and growing and doing anything. When you first start out, you're not good to be good. You're just going to have to figure out what works for you. Like, I think people sometimes don't catch it, but when you listen to what they're saying instead of what they're saying, you catch the real message. And I keep hearing all these who you are and how you operate and how you're saying it. Maybe it's not the words coming out, but it's just what you're saying. It's like, oh, this is why she likes science so much. Oh, she's not worried about the cringe factor because she understands you have to test. If that test doesn't work, you just do another test. You just do another test. You just do another test.
Yes, exactly. This is the scientific method, just, same word, different font. Same word, different font. Like I did this for my whole scientific training and my whole scientific career. I'm just applying it now to in a very visible way to the public.
Yeah, no, I love that. We're not done, but again, I put this in the middle-ish. Tell people where they can find you. Um, I know like on Instagram, you have the link to your podcast or you have the page link, whatever. But tell people where they can find you and connect with you.
Yeah, I would love if people connected with me. I'm always looking for new, interesting people to connect with who are headed where I'm headed. So if you're a person with vision and you are headed to a really cool place in your life and you're like in a personal development mindset, please reach out because I'm always open to new connections with people like that. You can find me on Instagram. My personal page is Ruby the Space Geologist. It's the longest handle ever. Sorry about that. Hope you spelled geologist right. And then I'm on LinkedIn as Dr. Ruby Patterson. And then our podcast is called Hotter, Weirder, Smarter, and the handle is Hotter, Weirder, Smarter.
Awesome. And are you guys going to be on YouTube and stuff too? Is that in the future? Cool.
Yes, thank you for the reminder. Yes, we're on YouTube, we're on TikTok, we're on Instagram, and we've just been pumping out like billions of reels that are just super silly that get the tone set, and then we're gonna start spamming you, like prepare to be sick of me, basically. We're gonna be
Oh, good.
spamming you with clips from the shows. So we'll have lots of little sound bites and caption sound bites, just like you do. You do a great job with that.
Awesome. Yeah, no, well, it's one of the funniest things that I've learned in the beginning, and this is just for people thinking, hey, I want to start a podcast, want to do something. In the beginning, I thought I'm doing too much. But then I looked at statistics, and 20% of your audience sees what you do. And if it goes good, you maybe get 30. And that's if you are pumping content all the time. If you're pumping content once a day, about 5 to 10% of your audience sees it. They're not seeing it too much. If the person complains, they're either a troll or a raving fan. And that's fine. You need them too. Like I've done stuff where, well, here's a question because now my mind's going here, and this is more content type of thing, but I've gotten more views from maybe a controversial take in someone's opinion, just my own opinion, or something that maybe someone didn't agree with. They given me more content and more replies than echo chamber stuff. Is that kind of what you've run into? Are you getting more trolls or are you getting more raving fans? You might get more raving fans. I get a lot of trolls, but I do say some crazy ass shit.
So I have been testing the waters a little bit with stirring the pot. And again, this is a bit of shadow work that I'm now bringing to the surface. It's really scary sometimes to put yourself out there online in a public forum where literally anyone and their mama can be like, "You're a
Mhm.
dumbass bitch," which people literally tell me that all the time online. And the most inflammatory thing that I ever said online was that when NASA announced that NASA and the Department of Energy are requesting proposals for people to send a nuclear fission reactor to the moon in order to power basically a future moon base or a sustained lunar presence, I came out in support of this. I think this is
Mhm.
actually a really good idea. And I listed tons of reasons why, and I gave a very well-formed argument. And the comments on this were like, you're the dumbest bitch alive, or like, I don't know if this is rage bait or you're just, a total fucking idiot. And I got so many comments, like people that I even went to high school with, which is kind of like the
Hmm.
ultimate fear in my mind of
Yeah.
posting. It's like, oh, what will my hometown people that I haven't spoken to in 10 years think of me? It's like, who gives a shit what those people think of you? They're not the ones in the arena making it happen. But I got a
Right.
really, really nasty message from a person that I went to high school with that I recently visited in my hometown, and we're friends, or at least I thought we were, better friends than this. And he sent me a message like, leave the moon alone. What you do is disgusting. I can't believe that you would do something like this. We've already murdered our own planet. Why would you go to the moon? And I think that stems from a place of fear and
Hmm.
potential ignorance. Like he is not a scientist, he's not in the space industry. And so I can imagine, like, yeah, that's probably pretty scary to hear. Like, we're gonna put a nuclear reactor on the moon. Like, there's such a negative connotation still with the word nuclear. So I do get a lot of trolls, but I do get some people that are tremendously supportive as well, and that are like, "Hey, I'm so glad that you're talking about this." But it did make me take a step back for a second. I was like, "Okay, am I ready? Is my skin thick enough to handle this and the podcast and starting my own business?" And it totally is. But back to my point from before, I need to relinquish a little bit of the administrative control on some of these
Hmm.
things and then just do what I do best. And that's
Yeah.
that's my growth edge right now.
No, I love that. And here's a few things that happens. One, you're never accepted in your hometown. You can even go to the biblical text for the however. They just, because they see you from their view from a long time ago, they don't see the greatness you can become from. Like, I moved 2,000 miles away from where I lived. I still have some friends that I kind of stay in touch with, but I don't really interact with them as much. And you're right, their views don't matter. Second, the trolls come first. They always do because they're trying to hold you back. And it's kind of like God, the universe at that point saying, are you going to push through or are you going to walk back from this? And if you just keep posting and keep doing and keep sharing your truth and what you believe and being kind with it. You don't have to be a jerk. Now, there are sometimes I've told people off online because at that point I'm just done and I'm blocking them, whatever. But you know what I mean? For the most part, I just let the trolls run because all of a sudden the trolls start signaling my real people. Because then my real people are going to see, oh, wait a minute. Joe or Dr. Ruby are saying stuff that really makes sense. I actually agree with it. This person, Mom's Basement Troll 101, has done nothing in their life. And that's what happens with most people from your hometown. They haven't done anything, they haven't gone outside of it. And you're a world changer. You're pushing a limit, you're changing a paradigm. I almost said dichotomy, but that would have been wrong. You're changing a paradigm and you're shifting people's mindset. And I love that. I think that we need a nuclear reactor on the moon because that actually could, from my limited knowledge, actually work and still just keep refilling and refueling itself. Because if not, we don't have other technology. It's not like we're going to get oil and send oil up to the moon and then put oil in the like. We have to get logical with this, and we're at that stage. And we're going to go space here for just a little bit because I'm like a space nerd anyway. But we're at that stage, like in Star Trek, where they have to actually get to the point where we can maneuver more, not be held back. Because, well, I want to ask you this question because now here's my science nerd. Are you happy that I know you're going to say yes, but are you happy that you're in this time, or are you a little bit sad? Because I'm a little bit sad that it's not like 200 to 300 years from now where we've advanced more and maybe have already traveled to the stars. That's the part that
Wow.
I'm like, damn it.
Okay, you are way more of a science nerd than me, I think, then, because I love that for my great 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 grandchildren. I have no desire to go to another star system, but I have friends that are like that too, where they're just like bleeding for futurism. I'm more rooted in let's like keep our world rocking as high as as great as we can. I have also seen this movie called Don't Look Up. Did you ever see that on Netflix?
No, I have not, but now I'm going to.
It's actually a really good movie. It's super funny and it's a little bit too close to reality now. It was made maybe like 4 to 6 years ago, and it has Timothy Chalamet and Jennifer Lawrence and Meryl Streep, like some really heavy hitters in this movie. Leonardo DiCaprio even. But basically, the TLDR version is this asteroid is going to come and hit Earth. It's definitely going to destroy Earth, and there's this, opposing viewpoints on how to handle it. There's the faction of humanity that's like, oh my God, we're gonna live like it's our last day because it's definitely our last day. And then there's this other faction where it's like, oh, don't look up. And they're even wearing like red hats with white writing on it that say don't look up. And it's this nod to, what at the time was the beginning of the Trump administration. And so there's all of this stuff that's now very, very real for us. But at the end of that movie, there's this billionaire. Okay, this is a spoiler. So I'm gonna give a little bit of a spoiler, but there's this billionaire who's supposed to be basically like Elon Musk, and he has every opportunity in the world to save the world, and he just never takes that opportunity. He ends up just creating this really small group of ultra elite people that end up going to the next star system, and they end up getting murdered by like a terrible like or ostrich dinosaur creature that they never expected to find. And it's actually really funny, and you're kind of like, yeah, you deserve that at that point in the movie. But I think about that when you say of going to other star systems, like I don't want to encounter any exotic whatever. I want to stick to the moon and the earth. But I definitely support a multi-planetary operations. I do
Mhm.
not support a full-time society living on Mars, for example. And that's for, scientifically rooted reasons, but also I think we can do a lot of good on Earth, and that should not be overlooked or ignored.
No, and I love the earth. Like I love nature. I love what we're doing. I think it's for me, it's just because I played like Starfield. I was into Star Trek. I was into Star Wars. I was into Battlestar Galactica. Anything space. Um, I think it's more this. I was born too late to go and explore the world here because everything on the world, like unless you're going deep ocean, but like finding a new continent, getting in a boat, and just like that whole unknown thing, I'm into that. Like even when I play video games. I just go wander off because I like open world concepts and try and find new things out. I don't care about the main quest. I want to go explore different weird things. That's just probably part of my makeup. Like just I'm just that guy. I like new things. I like finding out new things. I'm the curious one in that regard. But yeah, no, I think that we're a long way from that point. I just know that you're into science and space. So I didn't know if you were like, no, I'm happy here. And it sounds like you're happy doing what you're doing. And your legacy is definitely going to be cemented probably when 300 years from now, they might be reading about Dr. Rhea Patterson and her team did X. See, I always love like that. I'm going to say it again. Dr. Rhea Patterson and her team did X because sometimes we have to understand that we have an ability to influence and create the world around us, and you're not looking for it. You're just trying to put and do and become who you're supposed to be. And because of that, that's why it will come to you compared to the person that's trying to say, look at me, but not really doing anything of impact.
Thanks,
Yes, I know I
Joe.
went deep there again. I'm
That's
that guy.
really sweet. No, I love hearing that, and that makes me feel really good. Sometimes when you live alone like I do, and you're starting a one-woman show, literally the hotter, weirder, smarter kind of one-woman thing, and then also my business, Crisium Group, it's hard to I don't get a mirror reflected back to me in that way. So thank you. That means a lot. And yeah, I'm really excited about all the opportunities for people that are looking to work in the space industry. Like if you're out there and you're wondering like do I have what it takes to make it in the space industry? You absolutely do. We need you in the industry, especially like if you're a woman and you have any interest, please reach out to me. Like we need more women in space. Like truly it like I would welcome you with open arms and potentially want to hire you, honestly, because that is something that I would like to work in an environment like that. And so I'm gonna create it. But oh, what was I about to say? I just lost my thread. Hold on, give
Oh,
me a
you're
sec.
good. You're good. You're good. I'll say this while you're getting your thread back. My daughter's too young at the moment. She's only 10, but she loves space. She designs stuff. She loves like she's getting into engineering and that type of stuff, which I love. So I think that's great. I encourage anyone who wants to get into it, male, female, however, do something. And actually with AI, this is a good segue actually. With AI, the space industry and the jobs that you would do there aren't going to be going away. They're going to be enhanced by it, but they still need the human aspect of it. So if you're looking for a place to go, and I want your thoughts on this, I think space tech and like cyber security are like three pretty safe. You're going to have a job or a role or a something that you can work toward. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think being a deal maker is a really good sweet spot in the middle of all of that. If you can imagine like a Venn diagram of like, okay, I work in sales or I work in, negotiations or like brokering deals, but I have an interest in science and I have an interest in AI or tech, like come to the space industry because there's so many opportunities now for brokering deals and basically being a matchmaker between a scientific team who has some money to send their stuff to the moon, and then a lander company who's looking for people to purchase space on their lander to send something to the moon. So now I'm in a role where I'm stepping in and acting as this matchmaker. And so this role of payload brokering is a reality. And this is basically like selling Sunset, that show on Netflix, where it's these, beautiful Barbie women who sell multi-million dollar homes. Well, that's happening in the space industry right now, except instead of multi-million dollar homes, you're selling, oh, I'm gonna sell 20 kilograms of payload space on this commercial rover and it's going to the moon 2 years from now. So it's a
Mhm.
very cool business opportunity that is completely nascent. No one is really doing this right now. And so it's kind of like a honeypot.
Yeah, you just sparked my interest because I'm really good at negotiations. You said that, I'm like, I don't know enough about science by any means. I will be the first to tell you that. I'm just a space nerd, not like a scientific. No, I don't even have a college degree. I have a human emotional degree. is all But that just piqued my interest because I think, and I wanted to go back to, and it doesn't just have to be with space, but looking at the gifts you have inside of you and the ability to help change things around you, emotional intelligence. Um, and you said this earlier, and I'm just going to bring it up, and I say this a lot on my show, but I think it's true. Your divorce was one of the one, and I'm sure you probably dealt with more because everyone's dealt with more, one of the traumatic events that launched you into the future you are right now, which I
Mhm.
see a pattern with high achievers. I got this from Justin Breen a long time ago. He said it one time to me, but it's just clicked. Most high achievers have a traumatic event that they've gone through. It could be in childhood, it could be old. They have a chip on their shoulder. You have one. I love it. I have a chip on my shoulder. It's totally cool. They have either a high EQ or a high IQ. Quite sure you have one, if not both of those. The other ones, maybe, maybe not. They sometimes either deal with dyslexia or ADHD or have something on the spectrum, but not like far off the spectrum, but actually helps them be more focused or more determined or whatever like that. Those are the four things there that seem to be the pattern. Now, again, there's going to be someone say, well, this person has a different, yes, it's not a be all end all, but that's, have you found that with people you've dealt with, like those patterns like showing up, or like have you even thought about it? Because like I'm telling you, have you thought about this? And you might never thought about it.
I've definitely thought about it. I have been around now over the last year, especially in the venture capital world and dealing with CEOs and founders of other deep tech companies or consulting firms, just people that are really at the top of their game that I have so much to learn from. I get to know them on a personal level and they're like, oh, sorry, I'm the worst speller. Like I sucked at school, but I was really, really good at delegating. Or because I was so bad in my lessons, I became really good on the sports field and whatever sport I played, and I was able to learn how to lead teams as a child, and now I
Mhm.
carry that information with me into how I lead my business. And so, yes, I see exactly what you're saying, where sometimes things that you think might be a handicap or might be something that would hold you back are actually, if you imagine like pulling a bow and arrow, like yeah, in the moment it's going to set you back a little bit, but when you actually hit your stride and you release, like you're just slingshotted so much further from someone who didn't face those obstacles early on. So I definitely have observed that to be true.
I love that. I'm going to ask you four more questions. There's going to be more rapid fire. You can just say yes or no, and then the last question is going to be more of a deep thinking one.
Okay.
Are you more into books or TV shows
Oh,
or movies?
books.
I
Books.
figured that. Are you more introverted or extroverted or a combo?
Hmm. I think I'm extroverted.
Do you like deep conversation or stillness?
Deep conversation. I'm a yapper. I'm a yapper, baby.
Yeah, yeah, I
Yep.
love that. And then the last one, I've asked this a few times on my show, but because of how you think, I want to know your answer. We're going to have a little time machine. You can go back as far as you want, or you can go in the future as far as you want. Again, there's no rules on my show. You get to go for 1 year, meet with one person and learn whatever you want, and then bring it back to the now. Who would you go meet and what would you bring back?
This is easy. I would go back to when my mom was in high school, and I would spend time with my mom when she was in that period of her life. And I think I would learn a lot about my family lore and my family history that I haven't really had a chance to get to know. Just from people who have passed away or family that's not really on speaking terms. But I would definitely make it a family thing rather
I
than
love
a
that.
answering questions about society thing.
No, I love that. And you know what's interesting? Again, this tells me more about the person. Um, I've asked that question probably about 50 times in all the episodes that I've done. And I would say 25% of people are like you. And then other people are giving me like random names. But when it when it's someone personal, your whole face, your aura, like I feel it deeper. Like I've had people say Julius Caesar or Jesus or whoever. And it's like it, but it feels like, oh, this is just the person they thought up in their head. But when people do that, there's like how do I put this? A moment in time that you feel you missed and you want to go back to. And I just wanted to honor that moment. And hopefully I'm not pushing too much. Do not hear the intent here. I just because I think of the fact that if I made a decision like that, I'd probably right now, because my sister died 2 years ago of cancer, would want to go back to when I was a teenager and hang out with her and actually pay the fuck attention. Because when you're teenagers, you do a bunch of different stuff. But looking back, going now, there's a lot of cool people, but I think it comes back to the humanity of we want to learn about people we love, who they were, why they saw a certain way in that aspect. So I just wanted to honor that response because you made me think of it today. And I've had a bunch of people say it before, and I'm like, oh, that's great, that's interesting. And it never clicked. So you made my mind think that way. Is there anything else that we haven't talked about or any parting words you want to leave with our listeners?
Mm. Just take the leap, you guys. If there's something in your heart that you just cannot get off your mind, if there is something that you know that you can do, go for it and find a way to make it happen. Before I started my consulting firm, I was working through the machinations in my mind of like, okay, if I did it, how would I do it? Like, just start to really drop in with yourself. And when you're laying in bed at night, visualize what that would feel like. I do visualization almost every night when I lay in bed. I lay down and I close my eyes and I think about all the things that I really, really want to happen in my life. And I imagine what it's like to feel that. And just start there and start and see how it comes up in your body. Like, does it make your heart race? Does it make you feel all warm and gooey? Like, are you, and if you're at a point where you're feeling warm and cozy and gooey about something, like you're definitely ready to take the leap. So I encourage people to really drop in and visualize what you want and go for it.
I love that. Dr. Reeve Harrison, thank you for being on. And I'm going to leave you with this. Take the leap. Don't wait. You don't get promised tomorrow. So if you don't take the leap today, don't have a graveyard regret because that's where the most ideas that have been lost are because a person didn't do what they felt they should do. And guess what? 99% of people don't really care unless you impact their world. So impact your world first and it will shine bright for everyone else. Until next time, share this episode with someone that needs it, like and subscribe, and we'll be talking soon.